In this video, I'm going to read something for you all, and then we'll kind of discuss the content of what I'm going to read. So for the first maybe three and a half minutes of this video, there's no need to actually watch the video. I just want you to listen because I'm going to be reading off the computer over here, so you're not going to be missing anything visually. The reason that black people are in the streets has to do with the lives they're forced to lead in this country. And they're forced to leave these lives by the indifference and the apathy and a certain kind of ignorance, a very willful ignorance on the part of their co-citizens. Everybody knows, no matter what they do not know, that they wouldn't like to be a black man in this country. They know that, and they shut their minds against the rest of it. All the implications of being a black father, or a black woman, or a black son, and all the implications involved in a human being's endeavor to take care of his wife, to take care of his children, to raise his children to be men and women in the teeth of a structure which is built to deny that I can be a human being. Also my children can be. The great question in the country has been all years I've been living here, and I was born 27 years ago, is what does a Negro want? And this question masks a terrible knowledge. I want exactly what you want, and you know what you want. I want to be left alone. I don't want any of the things that people accuse Negroes of wanting, and I don't hate you. I simply want to be able to raise my children in peace and to arrive at my own maturity in my own way in peace. I don't want to be defined by you. I think that you and I might learn a great deal from one another if you can overcome the curtain of my color. The curtain of my color is what we use to avoid facing the facts of our common history, the facts of American life. It's easy to call me a Negro or a nigger or a promising black man, but in fact, I'm a man like you. I want to live like you. This country is mine too. I paid as much for it as you. White means you're European still, and black means I'm African. And we both know, we've both been here too long. You can't go back to Ireland or Poland or England, and I can't go back to Africa. And we will live here together or we will die here together. And it's not I who am telling you, time is telling you. You either listen or you will perish. So what I just read to you is not any original writing, because I'm not that clever. What I read to you was an excerpt from a speech by James Baldwin, who is a famed black writer from the civil rights movement era, who was very sharp in his speaking and his writing and his way to deconstruct very complex ideas and present them in an eloquent way to audiences who maybe couldn't understand them without his presentation. The reason I wanted to read this speech, and I should note that what I read to you was almost verbatim his speech, except for I changed where I said 27 years. He said 43 years because he was 43 years old at the time of this. But the reason I want to read you this speech is because the time that we're living in now, and recent events, and in particular, this speech I think is important because this speech was given in 1968. 1968 was 52 years ago. My parents were born in 1958, 1959. So they were 10 and 9 years old when the speech came out. And had I not added this second part of this video, many of you would have thought that I wrote this and that I wrote this specifically for these times that we're in. But the fact of the matter is, this was written a lifetime ago, a generation ago, 2 generations ago. And he was talking about the same problems that are being talked about right now, which shows that despite the progress that has been made in our country, like, yay, we elected a black president, there's still many things that we as black people want that are simple things. And as he pointed out in this speech, we actually don't want a lot. People accuse black people all the time of wanting these grand things. We want to have government welfare. We want to just be handed cash with no accountability. I'm sure some black people do want that. That does sound nice, to just have the government give you money and you don't have to work. But most of us want something that's very simple. And as he like so eloquently pointed out, we just want to be left alone, and we want to live like you. We want to live like white people. And by that he doesn't mean that black people want to be white, but that he means we want all the same rights, privileges, expectations, uh, and all of those like just simple things that white people get that are routinely denied against black people. We routinely denied rights that should be given to us. Especially during this time period, black people were denied simple rights all the time that they should have gotten. We're routinely denied human dignity in the way that we're treated when we interact with police. We're routinely denied benefit of the doubt where when you walk through a neighborhood, people may automatically assume that you don't look like you fit in, therefore you don't fit in, and then they might call the police. We want those simple rights, benefits, dignities that you as a white person get without question. And that's all we want. We want to just live in peace and everything will be great for everyone. But instead, what we routinely get is being disrespected. We routinely get people who assume we're up to no good. We routinely get people who think that we're lazy and we just want a handout. And we don't want any of those things. And it's very disheartening that we still are having these same conversations in this country. Like, we make very, very incremental progress, but we don't make progress sometimes in meaningful ways, and sometimes the easiest ways, like changing a law. That is really hard because you have to elect the right people, which may take several election cycles to get the right number of people who have the right mindset into that position to actually vote. So that could take a generation of people to actually make that type of change. But the change that I think many black people are asking for, yes, we want structural change. We want changes to laws and enforcements of laws and punishments so that they're more equitable across the board. We want those things, obviously. But I think the biggest changes that many of us want are changes that can be made in individuals, changes that a person can, if they really wanted to, go within themselves and say, you know what, next time I go about life, that black man that I see walking toward me, I'm not going to start to think like, what's he going to do as he passes me? Is he going to take my purse? Is he going to do X, Y, and Z? I'm just going to think, that's another person walking on the street who has their own path in life, who's doing their own thing, who probably doesn't really care about what I'm doing. We want that. We want to be able to just live and exist as people in this country. And that there are going to be some inherent, I shouldn't say inherent, there are going to be some differences that arise due to the way that all of us are raised. A person raised in the rural part of the country will have some different cultural understandings and way they go about life than the person raised in the urban area. But there's no reason that a white person raised in an urban area and a black person raised in an urban area should have starkly different experiences in this country as they move through life. And it's just very frustrating that the conversations that need to be held are unable to be held because you have people who, as James Baldwin pointed out, see this curtain of color, and that impedes any advancement that we can have in this conversation. And also, as he pointed out, the idea that most non-white people, or I should say most white people, would not want to be a black person. And if you are white and you sit down and think about that and you don't want to be a black person, think about why. Because I would imagine if you think about why you don't want to be black, maybe you can better understand some of the things that we're asking for. Because if you're thinking to yourself like, well, this happens to black people and that happens to black people and I don't want to be treated like this, maybe start to break that apart. And as you move forward, use that to help you navigate the world. Because even being a black celebrity who sometimes people feel are immune to some of the challenges that us common, not celebrity, not rich or famous black people experience. LeBron James had someone write nigger across his garage door in a gated community in Los Angeles. We saw that when he spoke up about injustices that black people face or calling the president an idiot, Fox News went berserk like he just said that he was going to go and murder the president. Can you imagine if a white person had said the same thing? Yes, they would get some criticism from conservative media, but they wouldn't have people telling him he needs to shut up and dribble as if that's the only way that he can contribute to American society is through his athletic ability. We all have voices, we all have thoughts, and he fortunately has the opportunity and the platform to share those thoughts and get heard by millions of people. None of us, and by us I mean black people, are truly immune to the societal damnations that black people experience as a whole. Some of us may get it in shades and gradations that are different from one another, but we all experience it. And so I get the feeling that I'm going to start ranting because I'm in a very pissed off state right now. So I'll wrap this up and say that the same things that James Baldwin were talking about 52 years ago, 2 generations ago basically, are the same things that we're talking about now. And I think that's a condemnation of where we're at in this country and how little progress we've actually made. The civil rights movement did a lot. It got laws changed. It made some structural changes that were important for this country. But now we're at the really hard part where it's the soft changes that need to happen, the changes that need to happen with individuals, because those changes are harder to make. Those changes have effects on structural components of our society in terms of laws and enforcement. And we need everyone to do their role in helping make those soft changes, talking to people and sharing your experience. And if you don't have an experience, if you're not a black person, but you sympathize and you know people who don't sympathize, maybe have a conversation with them about why they feel that way and try and express how you got to the point that you got to. And maybe they'll never change. Maybe they'll live the rest of their life and die that way. But at least you're trying to make an effort. We need conversation. And I mean, we need action as well. But I think we're at the point where there's only so much room for more action, and there needs to be more room for talking. And black people have been talking for as long as we've been in this country, but we've only been listened to for a fraction of that time. And our voices are becoming more important, but we need more non-black people to add their voice, because for better or worse, when a non-black person says the same things that we say, it carries a much bigger weight. It's amplified, and people now go, oh, wow, that makes sense. Like, I guess that is true. But when the black person says it, once again, that curtain of color comes up, and they only see a black person talking and don't listen to what they're saying. So I'll link the video that I just read this transcript from, and you can go and listen for yourself. But yeah, I'll leave it there, because I can definitely feel myself going on a much longer rant about race in America, that if I'm going to do something like that, I need to organize my thoughts more. So thanks for watching. Peace.